set, go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioners, this is item number 11, application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 147086, block 572, lot 38, 25th Avenue, aka 2-4 West 9th Street, the Greenwich Village Historic District, a neoclassic style apartment building designed by Boak Paris and built in 1939 and 1940. Application is to replace windows.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Olivia Busy, Preservation Staff. The item is 25th Avenue, and the application is to replace windows. 25th Avenue is located on the southwest corner of 5th Avenue and West 9th Street within the Greenwich Village Historic District. And it is a 17-story neoclassic style brick apartment building built in 1940. The application is to replace windows, and currently the building has all of its original steel casement windows intact in a variety of configurations, including corner windows and three-sided bay windows at the primary north-facing and east-facing facades, as well as on the mostly visible secondary west facade. The applicant is seeking to replace 100% of the windows at the primary north and east facades, as well as all of the visible windows on the secondary west facade. Maggie Lee O'Neill of Braxton Engineering will walk you through the proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here today. Before I start, I just want to say thank you very much to Olivia. She really helped us out a lot in this presentation, and Community Board too, for hearing us last week, and for all of you for being here this afternoon. So, 25th Avenue, I just want to start with a facade shot so you guys can see the building. This is a beautiful building in Greenwich Village, and it's very unique. It was built in 1940. Actually, the tax lot photo that I got from City Records, it was an empty lot. It was being built when they took the photo. So the windows are the original windows from when the building was built in 1940. The reason that we want to replace them is because the condition of them, as you'll see, is very poor currently. If you turn to page 5, this is our existing windows condition statement. They're the same original steel frame windows that have been around for 70 years. They're warped and deformed. The main issue right now is water intrusion. The water is getting inside the windows and it's causing a lot of damage. As you can see, these windows are in pretty bad condition. I'll go through for a few more photos for you guys. And a lot of it is about energy efficiency as well. As the climate continues to change in New York State, to have more energy efficiency windows obviously will keep costs of heat down, and it will protect the interior of the building, adding to longevity of the building's life. So, and also some of the latches from the inside don't function at all, and there's no current functioning locks either, so it's a safety issue when we want to change them as well. So here is the view of our east facade and the accompanying drawings. We also have little charts at the bottom of each facade page book if you want to see what the window specs for the quantity of each window on each facade. Here's our north facade, and I'll go through the different window types. We've identified them A, B, C, D, E, and F. And this is the west facade where we will be doing the work, as Olivia mentioned. And I just wanted to show you, this is the south facade, and this is you can see literally the brick actually changes color from like a yellow to red. The red is what's visible, and the yellow is what's not visible from the street. So these are the two facades that we will not be replacing the windows on. We will be doing it in the future. This is the first window type. This is window type A. And as you can see, this is where the existing air conditioner is right now. So our proposed window types are exactly the same replicas. They just are decreasing the amount of glass a little bit. Oh, sorry.
What's it's larger than the percent that we allow? So
I have dimensions for each window, but it's a little bit over. It's the average is like 13.5% dimension.
Is our limit. It's estimate?
Right, so when the staff looks at the details, we look at the details of each particular section of the window as well as the overall glazing calculations. And so we have to find that the glazing diminution is no more than 10%, and in addition, that each of the details don't get so much thicker that it changes the feeling of the window. So it is here for both of those reasons. They're thicker than the staff can approve, and then the resulting glazing diminution is greater than 10%.
And one question, are you replacing them in kind with steel or aluminum?
Aluminum,
It's aluminum.
which is another reason why it decreases a little bit in
Right.
size.
And double glazed?
Yes. And I'll go through and I'll show you them. So I just want to go through the individual window types. And as you see, previous homeowners have had to warp and change the windows as they are to install these air conditioners. So we've also come up with a solution to that as well, so you don't have to change the windows. So this is the existing type B window. It's double the size of type A, and the proposed B.
What would you do on B for that lady with the air conditioner?
We would put it in the fixed right there.
Of which it would be too short.
We actually have contacted an air conditioning company that will
So
make.
you'd have to use your air conditioners. Not air conditioner that fit. She couldn't use her air conditioner.
If she can, there's ones that fit, the 12
Right.
inches.
You'd have to use one that fits in the opening you're providing, not.
One that you have
I got it.
already.
Yes, yes, yes. This is our C, this is our corner window. As you can see, the steel frames are in bad condition. And then we've expanded it for the drawing of the existing and the proposed.
Would you explain what the bad condition is of that corner window?
The bad condition.
Tell me exactly what are the bad conditions
If you draw your attention here to the bottom, this is where the water intrusion and leaking is occurring. And the steel is rusting and flaking, and it's not very efficient in terms of keeping closed all the way, keeping the weather out.
But
Okay.
Go ahead, come on, keep going.
Proposed C, this is our D-type window, it's the bay window. They're very beautiful, these windows, we like them a lot. And we would put the air conditioner here. And-
Go back,
You'd have
go
a-
back. How wide is your corner mullion? I can't quite read it. Plus minus 6 inches versus plus minus 3, but 2 and 3/4 inches.
Right,
Your corner posts between where they bend.
up here?
Yeah.
I think it's,
Plus minus 6, right?
yeah,
So you're more than doubling the size of that post.
I believe so.
But now, why is that? I mean, because you don't have to do, I mean, don't they have them in stock?
Because it's aluminum.
I know it's aluminum, but
Did you figure this job in steel?
No. It can be, but aluminum is the window that was recommended by the replication agency. These are our E-type windows. We have 3 different E-type windows. The only difference is the vent on the bottom and then the mullion here on top. But they're essentially the same window. And then we've got our proposed E. And then we've got our F window. There are 2 F windows. Again, the difference is the mullion on top between the 2. And here are our dimension chart. So it is a little bit higher. The smaller windows are much smaller dimensions than the larger ones. And then we have the details for installation. Just to let you know that these details are proposed details. They're rougher numbers because the actual window doesn't exist yet. The company that we're using, Graham Window, which here's an example right here, the 6700 series, they're exact replications. So once the order is placed, then the windows will be manufactured.
So when you say they're exact replications, where it says 1 5/8, it's going to be 1 5/8 instead of 3 inches?
I'm sorry, but
In what way are they exact?
the window company manufactures exact replications of what's existing to make it look the same, the historical replica.
But you're saying in your presentation that the actual amount of glass is going to go down. So if they can customize it, why would you want it to be, why couldn't you make it custom so that it was smaller? So you had less glass reduction?
The way that the original windows are installed and mounted to the building, to install them safely and have them installed safely, there is a decrease in the window size does.
Because you're leaving the old frames. You're going over the old frames? Yeah.
No.
You want to call someone up?
Yes,
to-
sorry.
She wants to what?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charlie Marino with Braxton Engineering.
That is the,
The intention is to go masonry to masonry. And one of the reasons why we have this diminution in glazing is because the aluminum is not as strong as the old steel. So that the manufacturer needs to beef up these frames, and that's why we got this glass reduction. We've been in constant contact with Graham, who I understand has worked with Landmarks over the years, and that you have an understanding with them. Is that the wrong word?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize.
I mean, he understands.
So we're trying to get the best possible and closest window in the industry or in the manufacturing world as is
Did you try
existing.
steel? Did
We
you
had,
try both?
no, we did not try steel. And very frankly, the reason why we didn't try steel is probably the price of a steel frame double glazed window will either be anywhere from 1.5 to 2 times the cost.
Did you analyze what the comparative cost would be to restore the existing windows?
We looked at that. In my professional opinion as an engineer, I feel that these windows are gone. You know, I'm a little bit younger
Because of rust?
because of rust, because of warping. You have that?
To what extent? Percentage? 100 windows, how many?
100 windows,
You consider them gone?
I would say 90%, sir. Yeah, they're very, very
Did
bad.
you have anyone who does window restoration look at these and confirm that with you?
I did not. I've been doing windows for many, many years. Braxton Engineering started in 1980. I've done a ton of windows. My apologies, I have not done too many landmark windows. But I know from the standpoint of structural stability and the condition of these windows, when I physically went with the paint specialist to check the color of black on these windows, we found putty that would just come off in our hands. We found glass that was broken. We found broken latches. I personally did the local law inspection, the facade inspection, about 2 years ago on this building. So I had an outside view of these windows. I did a couple of scaffold drops, one on 5th Avenue, one on West 9th Street. The building is in great shape structurally. The windows stink, pardon my French, because they are allowing water to get into the building. They're just causing drafts. And when we had all of this bad weather last year, it was also impacting upon the building. Now, the local law report should have been safe. However, because of the fact that we had leaking windows, and because of the fact that I have to write a note that says, discussing the water tightness of the building, I had to make this a safe with repair building as opposed to safe. Not unsafe, but safe with repair.
Repair, not replacement necessarily.
No, but it's swamp, as the building department calls it, safe with repair is a generic term that they use. I'm sorry.
Okay, keep
Thank
going. Yep.
So these are the rest of our proposed and existing details, starting with the fixed jab to the vent jab. Next we have the vent mullion, the proposed and existing 135-degree mullion on the corner window, bay window, the proposed vent still and existing vent still, the fixed mullion, and fixed head. Here's a drawing again of that window type E, which we're kind of using as our standard window type. And this is actually, this is at Greenwich Village. This is a window replacement job that was done at 10 Sheridan Square. These are the Graham 6700 window series that were used here at 10 Sheridan Square. Here's another example. This is not in New York City, but these are the same 6700 series. is a building in, right outside of Washington, D.C. So here are the details and the specs on the proposed window. And all of these are included in the drawings as well. And then we wanted to touch base on the air conditioners as well, because I know that that was an issue that needed to be brought up. How we would like to have it is have them installed like this. Hopefully, if possible, requested that they be in the same line, so they're symmetrical and they look nice. And we have been in contact with several different air conditioner companies that can provide specialized air conditioners that fit the size, and then the managing agent would be able to sell it to the tenants, or they do make these air conditioners at several locations in New York City. And energy efficiency is obviously one of the main reasons that the windows need to be repaired and or replaced, keep the cost of fuel down.
And you have
Yep.
a drawing, or two drawings, comparing the two side by side, the existing and the proposed. Do you have the?
No,
You see them side by side so you can see?
I don't have one side by side. I've got them in the book, page by page.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, further questions before we go to testimony? Okay, we will go to testimony and come back to you. Thank you. Barbara Zay.
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. HDC finds that the thick windows proposed are not appropriate replacements for the elegantly thin rolled steel casement windows of Boak Paris's 25th Avenue. Their heft would weigh down a building described by one architectural blogger as, quote, an intriguing inter-period mix of jazz-era historicism and the post-war functionalism to come. Manufacturers such as Optimum, located here in New York State, and Dynamic produce thermally broken, energy-efficient steel windows with narrow sightlines. Such production and further improvements should be encouraged by the Commission in the same way as Commissioners' comments have led to more appropriate windows for passive houses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure I'm reading this right. Anise Mialk?
My name is Annis Ault. I have a forthcoming book on Boak in Paris. Hope to have it out in the spring. I also live in a 1936 Boak in Paris house building at 250 Cabrini. And we ourselves, our building is considering window replacement. We are not in an historic district, but I welcome this opportunity to hear what the problems are. I quite understand that the windows are leaky. This is the kind of thing that happens to steel casement windows when they have not been maintained, which is unfortunately too common. Boak in Paris first used the steel casement windows in 1928. They built a building just adjacent to the Masters, and they saw those first horizontal steel casement windows go up. And in their very next building at 22 Riverside Drive, they went to steel casement windows. They are early adapters of modern things. And I strongly urge this building to consider the suggestions and try to maintain the integrity. Heavy mullions just don't satisfy the appearance of buildings of this era. So I would recommend that there be reconsideration of what the options are.
Okay, thank you very much. And Community Board Choose Committee recommends approval of the application. And is there any further testimony? And is there anything else you would like to say in response to what's been said in the testimony?
I'd just like to say another thing.
Sure.
Again, I'm speaking from the vantage point as an engineer, and I haven't done a calculation of what it would cost to repair all of these windows. I'm also looking at it, folks, from the standpoint of energy. And this is the reason why we went to a double-glazed, low-E, argon-filled window, as opposed to just putting that window inside the apartment to make it a little more efficient. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. So my well, I can't make a recommendation, but in my opinion, that's why I feel these windows have to be replaced, and they should be replaced, at least from a dollar standpoint, to aluminum framed windows.
Okay, thank you. Discussion, Michael.
I hear you, but I disagree. Or at least I disagree so far. If you're going to make a case to do a wholesale replacement of beautiful steel casement windows that, in this case of this building, create a large measure of its historic value and importance, I think you got to make a better case. The drawings that we've been shown do not display the level of deterioration that you describe. They seem to need a paint job. They seem to need to be properly stripped and scraped. They could possibly need to be recaulked. There could be cases in which additional hardware could be put in. You could even you could even probably, for less money, reglaze every darn window, strip every one down, and put in, single pane, low E glass. I'm not convinced that this is that the case has been made for the replacement. Furthermore, I think that in a building of this nature, where you do have windows that create such an important impression, a greater attention to the details conforming with the existing has to be attempted, whether it is through the use of a steel window or a fiberglass window or a better aluminum window with better profiles. The corners, the way you have bay windows, you have corner windows that are essential to the quality of the building, where the size of the mullions are being doubled or more. And when we have seen replacements of steel casement windows, the degree of difference has been much less than we're seeing here. And I don't know why that is, because I don't have the particular catalogs of their windows versus your windows, but I think that you need to find the answer to that and make sure that this is absolutely the closest. And first and foremost, you have to make the case that these windows are absolutely unsalvageable. And in terms of the energy argument, I just want to say that yes, there's no question that insulated windows will perform better from a thermal point of view, pound for pound, against a single glazed window. But I think you're not counting the enormous environmental impact of the removal, destruction, and replacement of the material, the environmental cost, the environmental footprint of all the work being done to throw out these windows. And as we've seen here, these windows have lasted 70 years. The windows you're replacing them with will be lucky to last half that time. Lucky. We've seen windows here that have been replaced after 20 years. And to cavalierly rip them out without really trying everything to save them, I think is in this case, not appropriate.
Michael Devonshire.
I don't have a lot to add to that, but I would say that I feel we're in a position of creating a scientific experiment here where we've already come to the conclusion before we've done any of our investigation. What I would add to Michael's statement is that I am aware of numerous studies by the Department of Energy that, for one, come to the general conclusion, very strong conclusion, that it is not heat loss through glass that's the issue with windows. It's heat loss around perimeters, window perimeters. And, the issue of whether or not these are restorable aside, and the fact that there are manufacturers who make steel casement windows today that could match these exactly, the issue of insulated glass to me is a non-issue, because you can actually laminate low E glass and get higher thermal performance out of it, and you can retrofit steel casement windows, original steel casement windows, with weather stripping to eliminate the perimeter heat loss escape as well. So I can't approve this as...
I agree with those comments. And I think that what really has happened is that this presentation hasn't convinced me that you've investigated every possible avenue. And the replacements that you've chosen are very crude. They're too thick. If you could find something better, I would be willing to listen. But I think what probably has impacted a lot of us, not only that the casement is so elegant and the casement windows that you have in that one elevation that you had, it made the building look so beautiful and so totally streamlined. And you're putting these clunky windows in their place. And that was the first thing that hit me in the face. And I know I've worked on projects where we have actually, had people come in and scrape the windows and take the rust off and refurbish them. And they turn out beautiful. So I'm not saying that that's the final decision, but I think we need to be convinced more before we would say, throw these out.
Yeah, I agree. I think the removal of the existing windows would fall into the category of removing an excessive amount of historic material in a building, something we try to avoid. And the proposed replacements are very much substandard in their dimensions. And I feel comfortable saying that because we've seen other buildings come to us with the exact same situation, with something that's much more sympathetic. So.
Yeah, we just don't have enough documentation for the condition of the windows, like, with this large-scale proposed replacement. When we don't know that the windows really need to be replaced, and there might be a better alternative of restoration, at least for some number of them, or if not all. I just don't feel comfortable with approving this project.
Okay.
I agree, and I think that in some buildings, windows are really that element that sets the building apart, or gives it its character, and I think that these windows are really contributing to the character of this building to a degree that if we don't have to, we shouldn't be replacing with something that is so unlike what's there. And I think that there's a certain thinness and there's a certain shape and texture to these windows that we don't get with the window that's being proposed. So
Okay.
go back and check.
Okay, clear marching orders, consensus of marching orders on this. And one more thing to add, we're not going to act.
Wasn't there a building on Greenwich
Yeah.
Avenue, like on James Street, that had very similar windows to this? That we approved the replacement for?
On Greenwich Avenue and James Street, yeah, the one on that corner.
Aluminum windows.
Remember that?
But the commission has approved steel replacement aluminum replacement windows for steel windows, and has allowed for a slight variation in the details. As you said, we've been able to achieve a smaller sight line in some of the other aluminum details. The other thing is this particular building has the corner windows and the bay windows, and the mullion there is sort of a unique condition that hasn't existed at many of the other applications we've seen. We did see one at 130 West 12th Street that had a corner window, and to sort of get around the big heavy framing, they changed the configuration slightly to put the mullion off the corner,
Yeah.
so that you wouldn't, because they couldn't avoid that heavy mullion at the corner. So we've approved some other solutions to achieve a lightness where the aluminum frame couldn't do it itself.
Okay, but before you even get there, you got to make the case on replacement, and I don't think that's made yet either. So there's a fair amount of rethinking that needs to be done. We won't take any action on it today. We'll allow you to go through that process. You will do that, and then we'll revisit it later, but close the hearing for today. Motion second without objection. Thank you.
Thank you so much, folks.
Okay, the next item is number 12, an application for